And we wanted to wish all the brothers and sisters out there a happy belated Raksha Bandhan. Apparently, there is actually some anniversary. It is what, like the 75th celebration of it, like ever since inception or something?
No. That's the 75th year of Indian independence, and Raksha Bandhan's been going on forever. So I don't know if, Michael, you know what Raksha Bandhan is. So it's a festival. And traditionally, what used to happen in Raksha Bandhan was the sisters used to tie a thread. It was like thread, a decorated thread on the wrists of their brothers, and it was symbolic of the fact that the brothers have to take care of the sisters and have to protect the sisters. But we all think it's highly sexist that brothers have to protect the sisters, and sisters can't protect brothers. So now the festival, especially in bigger towns and urban places, has evolved into sisters tying it to sisters, brothers tying it back to sisters. So it's kind of evolved itself into a festival of celebration of bonds, of sibling bonds.
Yeah.
Right. So you would even tie the cousins, and so it's kind of evolved for urban population, but for a lot of rural population, this festival is still big, Raksha Bandhan, and it is the festival where brothers they pledge to protect their sisters. God knows why sisters need the protection. So this movie is actually called Raksha Bandhan, and Raksha Bandhan is the bandhan means relationship, so the relationship of protection. And Raksha Bandhan is also the festival, and it's also the thread. It's called Rakhi, the thread that's tied.
Yeah.
By the sisters to the brothers.
You don't necessarily have to do it between anybody who's siblings either. For example, I have no siblings, and I don't have cousins near me that like are male, and so I have like friends who kind of, I would say, like step into like a brother kind of territory for me. So I actually celebrated Rakhi for the first time with one of my friends who I consider one of my brothers. So you can do it with people who you like believe that you have familial ties to. So if we were together, Michael, I would have tied a Rakhi for you on Raksha.
I would have tied a Rakhi for you, and we would have asked you to tie a Rakhi to us as well.
That's
because we can protect you,
Got it.
By the way, you have to give money. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and the brothers have to cover presents and money for the sisters.
That's
a deal.
That's where we draw the line on feminism, Michael. You have to be the one to give us money. Like, we don't give her that.
Michael's face is like, right now, Michael's like, oh gosh, I got high zoned.
I'm like, what debt am I getting myself into?
So pi means brother, and you just got brother zoned. Sorry. But let's talk about the movie. Michael, tell us what you thought.
Yeah,
Actually, before Michael tells us what he thinks, let me tell you what it's about. So if you guys know Akshay Kumar, which you probably should, he plays Lala, a chaat seller in Old Delhi. And much like this Victorian society of Bridgeton, Lala is in this kind of like predicament of finding husbands for his 4 sisters. And yes, he has 4 sisters, and making sure he has enough funds to pay for their dowries. So he kind of promised his mother on her deathbed that he's like, I won't marry myself. Like, I will marry someone. I will not put my marriage in before the marriage of my other sisters, because he wants to put the focus on them. He has made that wish to her, or like fulfilled, or said he would fulfill her dying wish, that he would make sure they are married off before he chooses to settle down. So he keeps his love interest, Sapna, waiting the whole time while he is kind of looking for marital matches. And Sapna's father, of course, is at this ultimatum where he's saying that Lala has 6 months to get all of his sisters married, because of course he is also the father of a girl, and he understands the territory or society's perception on getting females married when they're younger. So what kind of follows in that story is this excruciatingly like obvious, I want to say so-called comedy. It's prodding fun at Lala's seemingly like unmarriable sisters or unmarriageable sisters, but the exception is that the older sister Gayatri, who's played by Sadia Khatib, who's like really traditionally beautiful, and she's obedient, and she kind of gives off this like Indian daughter-in-law vibe that you really want, or at least they really want. And next in line is Durga, who's played by Deepika Khan. She is a beast, Then Lakshmi, who's played by Smriti Shrikant, I believe, is actually dark-skinned, and thus she's regarded as ugly. All of these things about these other three sisters are regarded as traditionally ugly in India. And the youngest, Saraswati, is like a very spirited tomboy, and she's played by, I want to say, Sahi Jameen Kaur. I hope I'm pronouncing her name properly. But
Well, and let me just say too, like, this movie was in some hot press recently, and honestly, rightfully so, because there were a lot of scenes in this that made me very, very uncomfortable watching. Just like the different stigmas that were in play, and it didn't really seem like they were trying to, progress those at all. It actually seemed like they were regressing these stigmas or bringing back stigmas and kind of making them seem normalized. I think that this film just really took a bad approach towards potentially being a feminist movie. I'm not even quite sure. Like, it was very hard to tell with some of the jokes that they were playing, some of the, like I said, the stigmas and stereotypes that they were bringing upon the women that were in these shows, and no real like call to action within the film to really address those like appropriately. They just kind of like left them there and made it seem like that it was okay. So it was hard to watch. Personally, obviously not a big fan. And, Em, I don't know if you have any closing thoughts on that note.
Well, there are two ways to show a change of heart. Not only change of heart, but there's two ways to bring societal change. One way is you show how bad the society is, and you see the people change for the better to change the society or change the thinking. The other is, don't show that. The way this movie, they just go for the changed, like Mind the Malhotras. They're not showing the bad stuff in the society. They're just showing how people have evolved. And that is a positive way of affirming people. That's a positive way of telling people that this is cooler than what you're thinking. But this entire movie, for the better part of 2 hours of this runtime, it actually invited the audience to laugh along at really cringeworthy jokes about women appearances, about women choices, about women rights, and it was built to actually make fun of the color of their thought process, of their personalities, which wasn't cool. It was cringeworthy. Even though, enter the thing, he has a change of heart and he completely, changes himself and changes his thought process. What's the point? You've already shown 2 hours of cringeworthy material where women have been laughed at, and you've invited the audience to laugh at those jokes about color and about skin and about, other aspects of their personality. And then education, it didn't seem like education was anywhere, spoken about in that entire movie. But also, what really hit me the hardest was ultimately they got married. Why is marriage such an important milestone for Indian movies? Why did he have to, in order? I mean, his sister's married. Why was marriage so important in the first place? Why does everything become okay when girls get married? Even after his change of heart, the girls still get married. Why? It was so toxic to really give the message that I'm a changed person, but all the girls are married. What the hell?
I think the problem with this movie was not even the concept of the way it was told, but the way it was written, right? It's written from the perspective of there's something wrong with these people and they must correct it for the sake of getting married at the end of the day. But I'm like, throughout the process of the story, what you're doing is pointing out flaws that are not even considered flaws, instilling in the audience's mind that something is wrong, and then instilling either the fact that these girls must change or someone else must change in order to accept them. I'm like, or from the beginning, you can just say, these girls want to get married. This is who they are. This is what they are. And we will find people, if the end goal at this point of this whole movie is marriage, we will find people that already appreciate like whatever they are. We're not looking to go around changing people, because it's this concept of normalizing these behaviors, right? You're actively telling the audience that something is wrong and we must change to to accept them. But I'm like, if they're normalized from the beginning and you don't act like anything is wrong from the start, because nothing really is wrong from the start, this whole movie could have had a completely different like take on the idea of like Indian takes on obesity or fairness or whatever. It's like that time where I watched this, y'all. I'm gonna insert that you know, in everybody's favorite Fair and Lovely in India, that they all of a sudden were like, they changed their name to like Glow and Lovely or something, but in the ad they basically
the product still exists.
Still exists. That's the issue. The product still exists.
The issue wasn't the change, the advertising and the name of it. The fact of the matter is the product still exists. And you know, there's a product for men that Shah Rukh Khan used to advertise with. It's called Fair and Handsome. So just getting fairer is such a regressive undertone, but in that country that sells. And what they've done in this movie is just created another.
It's another version of it. It's like, it's not the point of changing the name, changing the heart. Why does it exist in the first place? Why do you need to point out these things? I was like, what was wrong with these girls in the first place? They were perfectly fine women. And now you're giving the audience a reason to believe like some of them are wrong or something is wrong and someone needs to change to accept them. Like, just
I would have accepted the story had the brother himself been okay and the people around him would have had those thoughts. And the brother would have fought for his sister. I would have been okay with that twist to the story, with that version of the story. But how regressive. Of course, Akshay Kumar is a fine actor and you see him, you know, he's fine. I mean, you have to give it to him. He's a very fine actor to pull this, right? To build such a regressive character. Lal, his name is also Lal, by the way. he did Lala. He's not Lal, he's Lala. But yeah, he pulled such a regressive character. All the props to him, but such a badly told movie that it just breaks my heart. It made me cringe. I wanted to walk out of the theater. Gosh, just
I think it's kind of tone deaf to bring something like this back in 2020. I won't lie. I thought we moved past the like people's weight issues. I thought we moved past the dark issues. I thought we moved past the like people's expression to the clothes they wear. I thought we moved past the like you have to be obedient daughter-in-law thing. Like I really thought we moved past that by 2022, but it seems like we're bringing back.
Apparently we're not, because this movie does exist and it's bombed at the box office as usual. So